Armin was just a simple man. He wasn't a hero. He wasn't even brave. He was just tired, broken, and trying to survive after losing everything: his job, his family, his dreams. One evening, while walking through the deep forests to reach the next village, he heard something strange. A sound so soft, yet so haunting. A baby's cry. At first, he thought he was imagining it. Who would leave a baby in the middle of a wild forest? It had to be a trick of the wind. But then he heard it again. A weak, desperate cry. Real. Terrifyingly real. His heart raced. His mind screamed, "Run away." This forest was known for dark things: animal attacks, disappearances, and things people didn't talk about after dark. But against every fear inside him, Armin turned toward the sound. And what he found lying between the roots of an old tree would change his life forever. Story. Armin moved slowly, each step heavy on the damp ground. The crying grew louder, desperate. His hands trembled as he parted the thick bushes. There, under a twisted banyan tree, lay a tiny bundle. A baby. Maybe 6 months old, wrapped in a dirty piece of cloth, shivering from the cold. Armin gasped. His throat went dry. He looked around. Nothing. No footprints, no sign of adults. Only the thick, dark forest breathing around him. Who would leave a baby here? He whispered. The baby's cries grew weaker, almost like he was losing strength. Without thinking, Armin took off his own jacket and wrapped it around the child. The baby clung to him instinctively, tiny fingers grabbing his torn shirt. Tears filled Armin's eyes. This baby, so helpless, so innocent. And yet, the questions stabbed his mind. Was it a trap? Was someone watching? Should he leave it and save himself? But as the baby pressed against his chest, shivering, something deeper awakened inside Armin. A part of him that he thought had died long ago, the part that could still love. Still protect. No, he whispered fiercely. I won't leave you. Armin stood up, holding the baby close. He had to find a way out. Fast. The forest stretched endlessly in all directions. It was getting darker. The wind howled. Wolves cried in the distance. Every step forward was a battle. The thorns tore at his legs. The shadows played tricks on his eyes. He had no map, no phone, no flashlight. All he had was faith. Hours passed. The forest seemed alive, whispering terrible things. At one point, Armin slipped and almost dropped the baby, catching him at the last second. He gasped for breath. His arms ached. His body screamed for rest. But he kept walking. For the baby. Suddenly, a sound behind him, rustling, heavy breathing. Armin froze. Slowly, he turned. Eyes. Glowing eyes. Watching him from the darkness. A wild boar. It snarled, pawed the ground. Armin's heart thundered. He was weaponless. Weak. Carrying a baby. He stepped back slowly, whispering, "Please, please." The boar snorted and lunged. Armin turned and ran. Branches whipped against him. Roots clawed his feet. He clutched the baby tighter, shielding him with his own body. He didn't care if he got hurt. He just had to get the child out alive. Miraculously, after what felt like forever, the boar lost interest and disappeared into the trees. Armin collapsed against a fallen log. Panting, shaking, but still holding the baby safely. The child looked up at him wide, trusting eyes filled with tears, and Armin realized this little life depended entirely on him now. He couldn't give up. Night fell like a thick blanket. The cold was brutal. Armin found a hollow under a tree and tucked the baby inside with him, wrapping both their bodies as best he could. He hummed a broken lullaby, a song he barely remembered from his own childhood. The baby slowly calmed down, his tiny breath warm against Armin's neck. That night, under the dark, endless sky, Armin made a silent promise. I will protect you. No matter what. The next morning, weak and hungry, Armin continued the journey. But there was a new terror waiting. A river. Wide, raging, and icy cold. No bridge. No way around. And no way back. Armin looked at the baby, sleeping in his arms. Tears streamed down his face. "God help me," he whispered. He tied the baby tightly against his chest with torn pieces of his shirt. Took a deep breath. And stepped into the water. The current was brutal. It pulled at him, tried to rip the baby away. Armin fought. Kicked. Screamed. His muscles burned. His lungs screamed for air. But he clung to the child with a desperation born from pure love. Finally, after what felt like hours, he stumbled out onto the other side, collapsing into the mud. He lay there, crying from exhaustion and relief. The baby was alive. So was he. By afternoon, he saw something ahead. Smoke. A hut. Civilization. With the last ounce of strength, he staggered toward it. An old woman opened the door, gasped at the sight of him, and called others. Soon villagers gathered, offering food, blankets, and questions. Armin could barely speak, but he clutched the baby and said only, "Help him. Please." Over the next few days, the villagers cared for both Armin and the baby. They found out the truth. A group of criminals had kidnapped several villagers for ransom. The baby's parents had been murdered when they tried to resist. The criminals, fearing the crying baby would give them away, had abandoned him deep in the forest to die. Armin had found him just in time. The police came. The criminals were arrested. And the villagers called Armin a hero. But Armin didn't care about the praise. He cared about one thing. The baby. He named him a man, meaning peace. He adopted a man legally. And for the first time in years, Armin found a reason to live again. Years later, a man grew up into a kind, brave young boy.